The sleek vessels of the 17th Fleet of the Galactic Alliance emerged from the shimmering warp gate, their pristine hulls gleaming in the light of the twin suns of the RE048 system. Captain Lena Alvarez, commander of the fleet's flagship Tempest, gazed out the viewscreen with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. This first contact mission was a delicate operation, but one she and her crew were more than prepared for. Beside her, Dr. Sarah Chen, the cultural attaché, reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Reeler homeworld is a Class 4 Deathworld, Captain. Extreme temperatures, toxic atmospheres, and a diverse ecosystem of deadly predators. It's a wonder any sentient species could have evolved there. Alvarez nodded grimly. All the more reason to approach with caution. Our scans indicate the Reeler have achieved a level of technological development comparable to our own. We must tread carefully to avoid any misunderstandings. The fleet moved into a standard first contact formation, with the Tempest and its accompanying escort vessels taking the lead. Hailing frequencies were opened, and Dr. Chen's team prepared to initiate diplomatic protocols. "Attention, unknown vessels," a harsh, guttural voice crackled over the comm. "You have entered Reeler space. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "They're not even giving us a chance to introduce ourselves. This is highly unusual behavior for a first contact scenario." Alvarez frowned. "Hail them again, Doctor. Emphasize that we come in peace and wish to establish friendly relations." The Reeler response was immediate and uncompromising. "We have no need for friendly relations with your kind. Leave our space immediately or face the consequences." "Captain, they're powering up their weapon systems," one of the bridge officers announced. Alvarez gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles turning white. "All ships prepare for evasive maneuvers. Dr. Chen, keep trying to establish communication. There must be some way to de-escalate this situation." The Reeler vessels opened fire, their powerful energy beams lancing out towards the Galactic Alliance fleet. The Tempest shuddered as the shields absorbed the initial barrage, and Alvarez's crew sprang into action, returning fire and maneuvering to avoid the relentless assault. "Captain, they're not responding to any of our hails or attempts at dialogue," Dr. Chen reported, her voice tense. "Their aggressive posture suggests they view us as a threat, despite our peaceful intentions." Alvarez gritted her teeth. "Then we have no choice but to defend ourselves. All ships engage the enemy and neutralize their offensive capabilities, but avoid inflicting lethal damage if possible. We must find a way to end this conflict without further bloodshed." The battle raged on, with the Galactic Alliance fleet's superior maneuverability and coordinated tactics allowing them to avoid the brunt of the Reeler's assault. However, the Reeler's sheer ferocity and disregard for their own safety made them formidable opponents. "Captain, we're sustaining heavy damage to our port shields. Engineering is struggling to keep up with the repair efforts," the tactical officer reported. Alvarez's mind raced, searching for a solution. "Order the fleet to fall back and regroup. We need to buy time to reassess our strategy." As the Tempest and its battered companions retreated, Alvarez caught a glimpse of the Reeler vessels, their hulls scared but their weapons still primed and ready. She knew this was not the end of the conflict, but rather the beginning of a challenging and uncertain confrontation. "Doctor, I need you to work with our xenobiologists and tacticians to find a way to reach an understanding with the Reeler. We cannot afford another engagement like this one." Dr. Chen nodded, her expression resolute. "I will do everything in my power to find a peaceful solution, Captain. These people are clearly not interested in diplomacy, but I'm determined to uncover the root of their hostility and find a way to bridge the divide." Alvarez turned her gaze back to the viewscreen, watching as the Reeler vessels receded into the distance. "For the sake of both our peoples, we must find a way to coexist. The alternative is unthinkable." With a heavy heart, she gave the order to jump the fleet to a nearby system, where they could regroup and strategize their next move. The first contact with the Reeler had been a disaster, and the future of the 17th Fleet's mission hung in the balance. The 17th Fleet emerged from the warp gate, their hulls still scared from the initial clash with the Ryler. Captain Alvarez's face was etched with a look of deep concern as she surveyed the damage to her ships. "Report," she commanded, her voice tight with tension. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Park, the fleet's chief tactician, stepped forward. "We've sustained significant damage to our shield systems and hull integrity. Several of our escort vessels were crippled in the engagement and will require extensive repairs before they're combat-ready again." Alvarez nodded grimly. "And the Ryler, what's their status?" Park's expression darkened. "They pursued us aggressively, Captain. Our evasive maneuvers and long-range artillery were the only things that prevented them from inflicting even greater damage. Their ships are heavily armored, and their weapons far more powerful than our initial scans had indicated." Dr. Chen approached, her brow furrowed. "Based on the data we've gathered, the Rylar appear to be a highly aggressive and territorial species, unaccustomed to diplomacy or peaceful first contact. Their homeworld is a Class 4 Deathworld, which has likely shaped their evolutionary development and cultural attitudes." Alvarez's eyes narrowed. "So you're saying they view us as a threat to be eliminated, rather than potential allies to be courted?" "Precisely," Dr. Chen confirmed. "Their reactions suggest they have no desire to establish peaceful relations with the Galactic Alliance. They see us as an invading force that must be destroyed at all costs." The captain's jaw tightened. "Then we have no choice but to prepare for further conflict. Park, I want a full tactical analysis of the Ryler's capabilities and weaknesses. We need to find a way to neutralize their offensive power without resorting to lethal force, if possible." "Understood, Captain," Park replied, already turning to relay the orders to his team of analysts and strategists. Alvarez turned to Dr. Chen, her expression grim. "Doctor, I'm afraid your diplomatic efforts have failed. Can you offer any insights that might help us avoid another devastating confrontation?" Chen's brow furrowed in thought. The Ryler's homeworld is a harsh, unforgiving environment. Their species has likely evolved a deep-rooted sense of territoriality and an unwavering conviction in their own superiority. Anything they perceive as a threat to their dominance will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. Alvarez nodded. "Then we must find a way to communicate that we're not here to challenge their sovereignty, but to establish peaceful coexistence. Can you work with Park's team to devise a strategy that might appeal to the Ryler's cultural sensibilities?" "I'll do my best," Chen promised, "but their hostility is deeply ingrained. Convincing them to abandon their current course of action will be an immense challenge." As the two women discussed the next steps, the crews of the 17th Fleet were already hard at work, repairing the damaged vessels and preparing for the inevitable confrontation to come. The initial clash had been a sobering experience, and the weight of the responsibility they now faced was palpable. In the days that followed, Park's team pored over the data, searching for any tactical advantage they could leverage against the Ryler. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen immersed herself in the study of Ryler culture and psychology, desperate to find a way to de-escalate the conflict. But as the 17th Fleet regrouped and refocused its efforts, the Ryler were not idle. Their vessels, repaired and reinforced, began to amass in the surrounding systems, a clear indication that they were preparing for another assault. "Captain, the Ryler fleet is moving to engage us," Park reported, his voice grave. "Their numbers have swelled, and their formation suggests they're intent on overwhelming us with sheer force." Alvarez steeled herself, her eyes narrowing with determination. "All ships, battle stations, we must be ready to defend ourselves. But remember, our primary objective is to disable their offensive capabilities, not to destroy them outright. Dr. Chen, if you have any last-minute insights, now is the time to share them." The cultural attaché stepped forward, her expression resolute. "Captain, I believe I may have found a way to appeal to the Ryler's sense of honor and pride. If we can demonstrate our respect for their homeworld and their way of life, there may be a chance to broker a truce." but it will require great risk and sacrifice on our part." Alvarez considered Chen's words, then nodded. "Very well, Doctor. Implement your plan, and may it be the key to ending this conflict without further bloodshed. All hands, prepare for battle. This time, we must prevail." As the reeler vessels closed in, the 17th Fleet braced itself for the coming storm, their fate, and the future of their alliance with the Ryler hanging in the balance. The reeler vessels surged forward, their massive hulls cutting through the void of space like predators closing in on their prey. Captain Alvarez gripped the arms of her chair, her knuckles turning white as she watched the enemy fleet approach. "All ships, maintain formation and prepare to execute Dr. Chen's plan," she ordered, her voice calm and steady. Lieutenant Commander Park stepped forward, his expression grim. "Captain, I'm not certain this plan of the Doctor's will work. The Rylar have proven themselves to be ruthless and unyielding. They may view any attempt at appeasement as a sign of weakness." Alvarez turned to face him, her eyes steely. "We have no choice, Jackson. Our conventional tactics have failed, and we can't afford another costly engagement. If there's even the slightest chance of avoiding further bloodshed, we must take it." Park nodded reluctantly, then turned to relay the orders to the fleet. The ships of the 17th Fleet maneuvered into a defensive posture, their weapon systems powered down in a show of non-aggression. As the reeler vessels closed in, Dr. Chen's voice came over the comm. "Attention, reeler vessels. We come to you not as invaders, but as humble visitors seeking to understand your homeworld and your people. We mean no harm, and ask only for the opportunity to learn from you." Alvarez held her breath, watching the reeler ships with bated anticipation. For a tense moment, there was no response, and she feared the plan had failed. Then, to her surprise, the reeler vessels began to slow, their weapons systems powering down as well. "You dare to set foot on our sacred Deathworld?" A booming voice thundered over the comm. "Explain yourselves, strangers, before we obliterate you from existence." Dr. Chen's expression remained calm and composed. "Honored Rylar, we have come to your homeworld not to conquer, but to learn. Your Deathworld is a place of wonder and danger, and we wish to understand how your people have adapted to such a harsh and unforgiving environment." Alvarez could see the tension in the Rylar fleet begin to waver, their initial aggression giving way to a curious hesitation. She held her breath, praying that Chen's gambit would pay off. "You claim to seek understanding, yet you bring your weapons of war to our doorstep," the Rylar commander growled. "What proof do you offer that your intentions are truly peaceful?" Chen took a deep breath, then replied, "We offer the ultimate proof, the lives of our own people. If you will allow us, we would gladly send a delegation to your surface, unarmed and vulnerable, to experience the challenges of your Deathworld firsthand. In doing so, we hope to demonstrate our respect for your home and your way of life." Alvarez's eyes widened in surprise, and she shot a concerned glance at the cultural attaché. But Chen's expression remained resolute, and the captain realized that this was a calculated risk, one that might just pay off. The Rylar commander was silent for a long moment, and Alvarez could almost feel the tension radiating from the bridge of the Tempest. Then, to her astonishment, the Rylar vessels began to pull back, their weapons powering down completely. "Very well, strangers," the commander rumbled. "You have piqued our curiosity. Send your delegation to the surface, and we shall see if you are worthy of our time." Alvarez let out a relieved breath, then turned to Chen. "Doctor, are you certain about this? Sending an unarmed team to the Rylar homeworld is an enormous risk." Chen's gaze was unwavering. "I am, Captain. If we are to have any hope of avoiding further conflict, we must demonstrate our sincerity and our respect for the Rylar and their Deathworld. This is the only way forward." Alvarez nodded, then turned to her crew. "Assemble a team of our best and brightest. They will be our ambassadors to the Rylar, and the key to unlocking the secrets of this mysterious species." As the Tempest and its sister ships moved closer to the Rylar homeworld, Alvarez couldn't help but wonder what they would find on the surface, and whether their gamble would ultimately pay off. The transport shuttle descended through the turbulent atmosphere of RE048, the realer homeworld, its occupants peering out at the alien landscape with a mixture of trepidation and fascination. At the helm was Captain Emilia Rosales, a seasoned human military commander handpicked by the Galactic Alliance to lead this crucial mission. Beside her, Dr. Sarah Chen reviewed the latest intel, her brow furrowed in concentration. According to our scans, the environment on the surface is even more inhospitable than we anticipated. Extreme temperatures, toxic gases, and a dense ecosystem teeming with predatory life forms. It's a wonder the Ryler have managed to thrive here. Rosales nodded grimly. That's precisely why the Galactic Alliance has chosen to include humans in this mission. Our species has evolved to survive, and even excel in the harshest of environments. If anyone can navigate the challenges of this death world, it's us. The shuttle shuddered as it encountered turbulence, and the Railer escort ships maintained a watchful presence, their weapons primed and ready. Rosales gripped the controls, her eyes scanning the terrain below for a suitable landing site. There, she pointed, that plateau looks relatively stable. Initiating touchdown sequence. As the shuttle touched down, the Railer ships moved in closer, their commanders no doubt watching the proceedings with a wary eye. Rosales and her team, clad in specialized environmental suits, disembarked and approached the Ryler's waiting delegation. The lead Railer, a towering figure with gleaming scales and razor-sharp talons, regarded them with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. You have arrived, strangers. We shall see if you are truly worthy of setting foot upon our sacred death world. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her voice calm and measured. Honored Railer, we come to you in the spirit of understanding and respect. Our people have endured the challenges of our own death world, Earth, for millennia. We believe that this shared experience may be the key to bridging the divide between our civilizations. The Railer commander's eyes narrowed. Your words are smooth, but your actions will determine your true worth. Follow us, and we shall put your resilience to the test. Rosales exchanged a glance with Chen, then motioned for her team to follow the Railer. As they navigated the treacherous terrain, the human soldiers marveled at the Railer's effortless movements, their bodies seemingly adapted to withstand the harsh environment. Captain, these conditions would be lethal to most of our species, one of the soldiers murmured, yet the Railer traverse it with ease. How do they do it? Rosales frowned. That's what we're here to find out. Keep your eyes open and your senses alert. Anything we can learn about the Railer's physiology and adaptations could give us a critical advantage in the battles to come. As they pressed on, the team encountered a series of challenges that would have proven fatal to a non-Railer: scorching heat, deadly predators, and noxious gases that burned the lungs. Yet the human soldiers, bolstered by their own resilience and the advanced technology of their environmental suits, managed to overcome each obstacle with grit and determination. The Railer commander watched their progress with a critical eye, his expression unreadable. Impressive, he finally conceded, but your true test lies ahead. Rosales steeled herself, knowing that the Railer were not about to make this easy. We're ready. Lead the way. The team followed the Railer deeper into the death world, navigating treacherous ravines, scaling towering cliffs, and fending off relentless predatory attacks. And through it all, the humans proved their mettle, their adaptability and problem-solving skills shining through in the face of adversity. As they emerged from a particularly harrowing ordeal, the Railer commander turned to Rosales, his gaze almost approving. You and your people have earned our respect. Perhaps there is hope for your kind yet. Rosales allowed herself a small smile. Then we have achieved our goal, honored Railer. We come to you not as enemies, but as potential allies, if you will have us. The commander considered her words, then nodded slowly. The decision is not mine alone to make, but you have given us much to ponder. Return to your fleet and await our response. As the human delegation made their way back to the shuttle, Dr. Chen couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. "Captain, I believe we may have found the key to unlocking the Ryler's trust, and our own salvation." Roselles nodded, her expression determined. "Then we must be ready to seize this opportunity, no matter what the Reeler decide. The future of the Galactic Alliance may very well depend on it." With that, the shuttle lifted off, the Railer ships escorting it back to the waiting 17th Fleet. The stage was set for the next crucial chapter in the conflict between the Galactic Alliance and the mysterious Ryler. The shuttle carrying the human delegation from the Reeler homeworld docked with the Tempest, Captain Alvarez, and Dr. Chen waiting anxiously on the hangar deck. As Captain Roselles and her team disembarked, the faces of the Galactic Alliance officers were etched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "Captain Roselles, your report," Alvarez said, her voice calm but laced with underlying tension. Roselles stepped forward, her expression grim but resolute. "The Rylar are a formidable species, Captain, their bodies and minds honed by the unforgiving conditions of their death world. But we have also proven our own resilience and adaptability, and I believe that is the key to unlocking their trust." Chen's eyes widened. "You mean they are open to an alliance, after our disastrous first encounter?" Roselles nodded. "It's a tenuous arrangement, to be sure, but the Reeler commander acknowledged our worthiness and promised to present our case to their leadership. They are intrigued by our capabilities and our shared experience of thriving on a death world." Alvarez let out a slow breath, her shoulders visibly relaxing. "Then there is hope. If we can forge an alliance with the Ryler, we may stand a chance of overcoming their military might." "That is precisely what we must do, Captain," Roselles replied. "But it will require a delicate and strategic approach. The Ryler are prideful and territorial. Any misstep could shatter the fragile trust we've built." Chen stepped forward, her brow furrowed in thought. "I've been studying the Ryler's cultural and social dynamics, and I believe I understand how we can appeal to their sensibilities. They value strength, resilience, and a deep respect for their homeworld. If we can demonstrate those qualities and align our goals with theirs, we may be able to forge a lasting partnership." Alvarez nodded, her expression hardening with determination. "Then that is exactly what we shall do. Roselles, I want you to work with Chen and Park to develop a comprehensive strategy for engaging the Ryler. We need to be ready to seize this opportunity before it slips through our fingers." In the days that followed, the 17th Fleet hummed with activity as the human and Galactic Alliance forces began to integrate and prepare for the next stage of the conflict. Roselles oversaw the training of her specialized unit, equipping them with the latest technological advancements and honing their skills for the challenges ahead. Meanwhile, Chen and Park collaborated closely, blending their respective expertise to devise a diplomatic and military strategy that they hoped would appeal to the Ryler's cultural sensibilities. They pored over intelligence reports, studied the Ryler's tactics and technology, and explored ways to leverage the unique capabilities of the human soldiers. As the preparations progressed, the Ryler fleet began to amass once more in the surrounding systems, their presence a constant reminder of the high stakes at play. Alvarez watched the movements of the enemy vessels with a growing sense of urgency, knowing that time was of the essence. Finally, the day arrived when the Reeler commander contacted the Tempest, his voice betraying a hint of curiosity. "Galactic Alliance, your human delegates have returned to us with tales of their prowess. We are prepared to hear your proposal for an alliance." Alvarez exchanged a glance with Roselles and Chen, then stepped forward. "Honored Ryler, we come to you with a deep respect for your homeworld and your people. We recognize the strength and resilience that has allowed your species to thrive in the face of such unforgiving conditions. It is this shared experience that we believe can form the foundation of a powerful alliance." The Reeler commander's eyes narrowed. "Speak, then, and make your case. But know that we will not be swayed by empty words or false promises." Roselles took a step forward, her voice clear and confident. "Reeler, we offer you the might of our human warriors. individuals who have honed their skills and their bodies through countless generations of struggle against the dangers of our own death world. Together, we can create an unstoppable force, one that will defend your sacred homeworld and crush any who dare to threaten it. Chen followed up, her diplomatic skills on full display. And in return, we ask only for the opportunity to learn from your people, to study your remarkable adaptations, and to understand the wonders of your death world. With this knowledge, we can develop new technologies and strategies that will benefit both our civilizations. The Railer commander fell silent, his gaze studying the faces of the Galactic Alliance officers. Alvarez held her breath, praying that their gamble would pay off. After what seemed like an eternity, the Railer commander spoke, his voice tinged with a hint of respect. "Very well, Galactic Alliance. We shall consider your proposal. But know this, any sign of deception or betrayal, and we will rain down the full fury of our death world upon you." Alvarez allowed herself a small smile. "We would expect nothing less, honored Railer. The future of our peoples hangs in the balance. Let us proceed with caution, but also with determination." As the communication channel closed, the Galactic Alliance officers exchanged triumphant glances. The first steps towards an unlikely alliance had been taken, and now the real work began. The massive fleet of Galactic Alliance and Railer vessels emerged from the warp gate, their hulls gleaming in the light of RE048's twin suns. At the heart of the formidable armada was the Tempest, its captain, Lena Alvarez, surveying the scene with a mixture of trepidation and determination. "All ships, report in," she commanded, her voice steady. One by one, the fleet commanders checked in, confirming their readiness for the impending assault. Beside Alvarez, Lieutenant Commander Jackson Park studied the tactical displays, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Captain, the Railer forces have taken up defensive positions around their primary cities and industrial centers. Their defenses are extensive, and they've managed to integrate some of our own technology into their weapon systems." Alvarez nodded, her eyes narrowing. "And our human contingent?" Park's expression brightened slightly. "Captain Rosel's team has embedded with the Railer ground forces, providing vital intelligence and strategic support. They're ready to spearhead the assault, backed by our own ship's firepower." "Good," Alvarez replied, her gaze drifting to the planet below. "The fate of both our civilizations hangs in the balance. Signal the fleet. We attack on my command." As the mighty armada surged forward, the Railer defenses sprung to life, their weapon systems unleashing a devastating barrage of energy beams and missile salvos. The Galactic Alliance ships maneuvered with precision, their shields absorbing the initial onslaught while their own weapons lanced out, targeting the Railer's most critical strongholds. But the Railer were no mere passive defenders. Their vessels darted through the chaos, their pilots executing complex maneuvers with a level of skill that defied belief. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to yield an inch. Amidst the chaos, Captain Roselles and her human team fought alongside the Railer ground forces, their specialized training and equipment giving them a distinct advantage. They moved swiftly, neutralizing enemy defenses and identifying weaknesses in the Railer's fortified positions. "Captain, we've managed to secure a foothold in the northern quadrant," Roselles reported, her voice crackling over the comm. "The Railer are holding their ground, but our coordinated assault is beginning to wear them down." Alvarez's eyes narrowed. "Excellent work, Roselles. Keep the pressure on, but be mindful of the Railer's tenacity. They won't give up their homeworld without a fight." As the battle raged on, both sides unleashed their full arsenal. The sky above RE048, filled with the thunderous roar of weapons fire and the brilliant flashes of exploding vessels. The Galactic Alliance's superior numbers and firepower began to take their toll, but the Railer's unyielding defense and intimate knowledge of their homeworld's terrain proved to be a formidable obstacle. Lieutenant Commander Park's brow glistened with sweat as he monitored the tactical displays. "Captain, we're sustaining heavy casualties. If we don't find a way to break through their defenses soon, we may be forced to retreat." Alvarez's jaw tightened, her eyes scanning the chaos unfolding before her. "There must be a weakness, Jackson. Something we're overlooking." Suddenly, a burst of static erupted over the comm, and Rosel's voice rang out, tinged with urgency. "Captain, we've discovered a vulnerability in the Ryler's defensive grid. Their primary power generators are located in a series of underground complexes. If we can target these, we may be able to cripple their entire system." Alvarez's eyes widened. "Transmit the coordinates to the fleet." Rosales, "All ships, concentrate your firepower on the designated targets. We must break their defenses before they can regroup." The Galactic Alliance vessels surged forward, their weapons unleashing a devastating barrage on the Ryler's hidden power sources. The ground shook as the complexes were reduced to rubble, the Ryler defenses faltering as their energy systems were overwhelmed. "Captain, the Ryler fleet is in disarray," Park reported, his voice tinged with a hint of triumph. "Their ships are losing power and becoming easy targets." Alvarez's expression hardened. "Then let's finish this. All ships, advance and neutralize the remaining Ryler forces. We must secure their homeworld at all costs." The battle raged on, but the tide had turned in the Galactic Alliance's favor. Rosales and her human soldiers fought alongside the Ryler ground troops, their combined might slowly pushing back the enemy's desperate counterattacks. As the final Ryler vessels were destroyed or forced to retreat, a deafening silence fell over the battlefield. Alvarez stood on the bridge of the Tempest, her eyes fixed on the scared surface of RE048, a mixture of relief and apprehension etching her features. "The Ryler homeworld is ours," she murmured, "but at what cost? The true test lies ahead, as we navigate the delicate task of rebuilding trust and forging a lasting alliance." With a deep breath, Alvarez turned to her crew, her voice resolute. "Prepare landing parties. We must make contact with the Ryler leadership and begin the process of negotiating the terms of our victory. The future of both our civilizations depends on it." As the 17th Fleet moved to secure the Ryler homeworld, the weight of their responsibility hung heavy in the air. The battle had been won, but the true challenge was only just beginning. The surface of RE048 was a picture of destruction, the once pristine landscape scarred by the ferocious battle that had raged above. Captain Alvarez surveyed the scene, her expression grim, as the Tempest's landing party disembarked and made their way towards the Ryler's capital city. Beside her, Dr. Sarah Chen and Captain Amelia Rosales exchanged a tense look. "The Ryler will not be pleased with the outcome of this conflict," Chen murmured. "Their homeworld has been defiled, and their military might has been shattered." Rosales nodded, her grip tightening on her weapon. "We must tread carefully. These are a proud and territorial people. They will not surrender easily, even in the face of defeat." As the delegation approached the Ryler citadel, they were met by a contingent of heavily armed guards, their scales gleaming in the harsh light. The lead Ryler, his eyes narrowed, stepped forward. "Galactic Alliance," he growled, "you have dared to set foot upon our sacred Deathworld once more. Speak, and make your demands known." Alvarez stepped forward, her posture calm and confident. "Honored Ryler, we come to you not as conquerors, but as allies. The conflict that has divided our peoples has been brought to an end, and now we seek to forge a lasting peace." The Ryler commander's eyes widened, and a murmur rippled through the gathered guards. "Peace," he scoffed. "You have spilled the blood of our warriors and defiled the very ground we walk upon. What makes you think we will grant you such a gift?" Chen stepped forward, her voice measured and diplomatic. "Ryler, we understand your anger and your sense of loss, but we also offer you a chance to reclaim your homeworld and rebuild your strength, not as enemies, but as partners in a greater cause." Rosales joined in, her gaze unwavering. "Your people have proven themselves to be formidable warriors, unmatched in their resilience and skill. We believe that together, we can forge an alliance that will ensure the security of both our civilizations." The Railer commander regarded them in silence, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, he inclined his head. "You speak of a bold proposal, Galactic Alliance, one that would require us to set aside our pride and our thirst for vengeance." Alvarez nodded. "We do not ask you to forget the pain we have inflicted, Railer, but we offer you the chance to transform that pain into power, to use it as the foundation for a stronger, more resilient alliance." The Railer commander's eyes narrowed, and for a long moment, the air was thick with tension. Then, to the surprise of the Galactic Alliance delegation, he let out a rumbling laugh. "Very well, Galactic Alliance. You have proven your worth on the battlefield, and now you seek to prove it in the realm of diplomacy. We shall hear your terms, and we shall see if they are worthy of our consideration." Alvarez allowed herself a small smile. "Then let us begin the negotiations, Railer. The future of our peoples depends on the success of this alliance." Over the following weeks, the Galactic Alliance and Railer delegations engaged in a series of tense and delicate negotiations. Tempers flared, and compromise seemed elusive as both sides sought to protect their own interests. But through it all, Chen's diplomatic acumen and Rosel's military expertise proved invaluable, helping to bridge the divide and find common ground. Finally, after long and arduous discussions, the terms of the peace treaty were agreed upon. The Railer would grant the Galactic Alliance access to their Deathworld, allowing them to study the planet's unique ecology and the Railer's remarkable adaptations. In exchange, the Galactic Alliance would provide the Railer with advanced technology and resources to aid in the reconstruction of their homeworld, as well as a commitment to defend RE048 against any future threats. As the treaty was signed, a tangible sense of relief and cautious optimism spread through the gathered delegates. Alvarez and the Railer commander shook hands, their gazes locked in a silent acknowledgement of the challenges that lay ahead. "This is only the beginning, Galactic Alliance," the Railer commander rumbled. "We shall see if your people are truly worthy of our trust." Alvarez nodded, her expression resolute. "Then let us prove ourselves, Railer. For the sake of both our civilizations, we cannot afford to fail." As the delegation prepared to depart, Roselles approached Chen, her brow furrowed in thought. "Do you truly believe this alliance will hold, Doctor?" Chen's gaze was thoughtful, but her voice held a note of cautious optimism. "It is a fragile thing, Captain, built upon the foundation of hard-won respect and mutual understanding. But if both sides are willing to put in the hard work, then perhaps, just perhaps, it can endure." Roselles nodded, her expression mirroring Chen's. "Then we must be ready, Doctor, for the challenges that lie ahead will test the mettle of us all." With that, the Galactic Alliance delegation boarded their shuttles and departed, their eyes fixed on the scared yet resilient surface of RE048, a symbol of the hard-won alliance that would shape the future of their civilizations. The 17th Fleet emerged from the warp gate, their hulls bearing the scars of the epic battle for the Railer homeworld. Captain Lena Alvarez stood on the bridge of the Tempest, her gaze fixed on the viewscreen as the fleet made its way towards the Galactic Alliance's central command. "Status report," she commanded, her voice tinged with a hint of weariness. Lieutenant Commander Jackson Park stepped forward, his expression somber. "Shields and weapon systems are operating at 87% capacity, Captain. We've sustained significant damage, but our engineers are working around the clock to make the necessary repairs." Alvarez nodded, then turned to Dr. Sarah Chen and Captain Emilia Roselles. "And our alliance with the Railer. How do they fare in the aftermath of the battle?" Chen's brow furrowed. "The Railer homeworld is undergoing extensive reconstruction, and their military forces are working to rebuild their strength. They have honored the terms of the peace treaty, but there is still a lingering sense of unease and distrust." Roselles crossed her arms, her gaze thoughtful. "The human contingent has remained on RE048, working alongside the Railer to facilitate the integration of our technology and share our expertise, but the road ahead will be a long and arduous one." Alvarez let out a slow breath, her shoulders sagging slightly. We have achieved a hard-won victory, but the true test lies in maintaining this fragile alliance. The fate of both our civilizations now hangs in the balance. In the days that followed, the 17th Fleet was celebrated as heroes throughout the Galactic Alliance. Their triumph over the Rylar hailed as a testament to the power of unity and the resilience of the human spirit. Parades and ceremonies were held in their honor, and the story of their encounter with the Rylar became the stuff of legend. But for Alvarez and her crew, the real work had only just begun. They pored over the intel gathered during the conflict, sharing their findings with the Galactic Alliance's top strategists and scientists. The knowledge they had gained about the Rylar's homeworld and their remarkable adaptations proved to be invaluable, opening up new avenues for technological and scientific advancement. The Rylar's Deathworld holds countless secrets, Chen remarked, her eyes shining with excitement. If we can harness this knowledge, it could revolutionize the way we approach exploration and colonization of other hostile environments. Roselles nodded in agreement, her expression grim. But we must be vigilant. The Rylar may have agreed to the alliance, but their pride and territorial instincts run deep. Any perceived threat to their homeworld or their way of life could shatter the fragile peace we've built. Alvarez's gaze drifted to the view screen, where the shimmering lights of the Galactic Alliance's central command grew ever closer. Then we must ensure that this alliance endures, no matter the cost. The future of our civilizations depends on it. As the Tempest docked at the command center, Alvarez and her crew were greeted by a delegation of high-ranking Galactic Alliance officials, their faces alight with pride and gratitude. "Captain Alvarez, your actions have shaped the course of history," the lead official proclaimed, his voice booming with authority. "The 17th Fleet's triumph over the Rylar has forged a new era of cooperation and understanding between our peoples. You and your crew are now legends, and your legacy will live on for generations to come." Alvarez felt a surge of pride, but her expression remained stoic. "The credit belongs not to me, but to the brave men and women who stood by my side, both from the Galactic Alliance and from humanity." This victory was a shared triumph, one that has the power to change the very fabric of our civilization. The official nodded solemnly. "Indeed, Captain. And it is for that reason that we have a most important task for you and your crew." Alvarez's brow furrowed. "Sir, the Galactic Alliance has decided to entrust the 17th Fleet with the responsibility of maintaining and strengthening the alliance with the Rylar. Your deep understanding of their homeworld, their culture, and their military capabilities make you the ideal candidates for this critical mission." Alvarez's eyes widened, and she exchanged a glance with Roselles and Chen. "We are honored by your trust, sir. The 17th Fleet stands ready to fulfill this responsibility, no matter the challenges that may arise." As the Tempest set out once more, the crew of the 17th Fleet knew that the true test of their victory had only just begun. The alliance with the Rylar was a fragile thing, and it would take all of their skill, diplomacy, and determination to ensure that it endured. But in the face of such daunting odds, they were undaunted. For they had proven themselves on the battlefield, and they knew that with humanity's resilience and the Galactic Alliance's resources, they were more than capable of rising to the occasion. The legacy of the 17th Fleet had only just begun to take shape, and the future that lay before them was one of uncharted possibilities, a future they would forge with the strength of their alliance and the unwavering spirit of their shared triumph.